Welcome to Shoot for Succession. I'm Rob, a photographer, business owner, and educator who spent the past decade building a solo photography business from the ground up. This podcast isn't about camera gear or chasing trends. It's about what comes after you learn how to take great pictures. Talking about systems, structure, delegation, and building a business that can actually last. Shoot for Succession is about turning passion into something sustainable, repeatable, and valuable, so your business can grow beyond you and eventually stand on its own. Built with passion, sustained by systems. I'm glad you're here. Let's get into it. All right, welcome back to Shoot for Succession. It's episode 2. Here's something. Think about this. Passion will get you started, but it will not keep you sane. Well, I got to tell you, passion is what gets us all started, right? But that passion gets challenged and it gets tired. It fades, like the motivation fades. I think about that in like the gym, right? Remember, New Year starts and the gyms are full. Like everybody's got the passion to lose weight, to get fit, to feel better about themselves. And so what do? They get jacked up and they go to the gym. They buy the year's membership and they hit it hard for 3 weeks, and the passion fades, right? So that's what I want to talk about today. Because kind of like the catchphrase, with this podcast is built with passion, but sustained by systems. Because yes, passion is what ignites the fire, right? It doesn't necessarily fuel, or the fuel doesn't last forever. You have to get those systems. Those systems are what maintains the consistency. All right. If your business only works when you're fired up, it's pretty fragile. And we know how this works, right? We get very passionate about stuff. We get very romantic about it. It drives us. We sit there for days and we create all this content, and then what happens? 4 days later, we're burnt out. We're not excited anymore. We're not seeing the engagement. We're not seeing results immediately. And so what happens? We stop. We slow down. We start second guessing ourselves. The hidden cost of a passion-only business. You get inconsistent results. Great things happen, when you're, marketing, when you're doing stuff, when you're posting about sessions you've had. But what do you do when you don't have sessions for a while? You get burnt out, right? You're making a lot of decisions, and that gets exhausting. Passion is emotional energy, right? And emotions are a roller coaster, right? They go up and down. Buyers don't buy passion; they buy predictability. When we go into something, it used to be right that people needed to see your product, they needed to see you, they needed to hear your message 8 times. Well, now with everything we're inundated with all of the ads and social media and everything there is that we're just engulfed with, now it's like 25 times, right? Buyers have to trust you. They love your passion, but they don't buy your passion, right? They buy a product that's going to make them feel better. They're going to buy a product that solves their problem. And developing systems, I realize is what needs to happen, because this is what I've been living for so long. I've been living the passion, right? You'll see my Instagram, feed will be very, consistent for a couple weeks. My website blogs will be very, consistent for a couple weeks, and it's like anything else that I do, it fades. And I'm no different than than anybody else. I need I love the immediate gratification, but this is a long game, right? This is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and as much as we want it to be a sprint, we want to find that success super quickly. We don't. It's kind of like my story. My wife, always, tells me, that I'm on a 5-year plan. Everything I do for 5 years. I was very heavy in the CrossFit, very into that scene, about 15 years ago, and it was almost like to the day 5 years, and I kind of, walked away from it. I was a firefighter, a volunteer firefighter in my town years ago, and 5 years, and I did coaching, and I did a whole bunch of other stuff, and it was like everything was 5 years. The only thing that wasn't 5 years was my teaching career, and I think I kind of embrace that as my career, right? That was my steady income. That was just what I did every day. And then, photography came about in that. It was, as supportive as my wife is, she's also a realist. And it was a lot of, you're putting a lot of money into this, you're putting a lot of time into this. You've only got 2 years left. And I challenged her on it, and I proved her wrong. It's been 10 years, and I don't see an end in sight. But there's definitely the ups and downs. There is the fluctuation of my energy levels, for sure. People, ask what kind of portraits do you do, and I say, I never really got down to that niche, that one type of photography. I will say if I niched it, I would say I'm more in like shooting people, but I'll still do pets. I love doing horses, the equine photography. Everything I do, every different session I have is awesome. Like it's energetic. I still stress about them. I still get nervous before a session. I've been doing this a long time, and I've done over 1,000 sessions, and every single one I still get nervous. I still forget things, and I have to think on my feet, and things that should be natural to me. I kind of play head games with myself. But what stays consistent is the experience. Once I'm into the session, I could spend all day there. And that's the passion that keeps coming back. That's the passion that keeps driving. When I get back and it's time to edit, I've got to be in the right mindset to edit. You got to be able to dedicate 2-3 hours of sitting, staring at screens. And there's moments where there's days go by that I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't sit there and do it. So time frame wise, as far as getting images back to clients, or setting those reveals, that's a system that I need to do better at, and that's an area that I'm really willing to offload, but I have to make a system for it, right? I've got to, if I hire an editor, right? Number one, how do I pay? Right? How do I pay them to do their work, to do the work for me? How do I get them the raw images? How do I get the finished images back? How many am I sending them? All these things are things that I need to sit down and set guidelines, right? So I've got to essentially cull the session myself and then send them out. But then there's the other part, right? Well, if I just spend all that time, going through 3,000 images, well, maybe I can just do the quick edits in them, and before you know it, I have a whole session soft-proofed and ready to go. But again, that's too inconsistent. If that was every single time and I had no problem doing it, and I was that good at it, and I was that consistent with it, then I'd be all set. But every time I'm sitting there going through all these images, it's thinking about, I could use that for an Instagram post. I should make a blog post out of this. So every piece of it, there's 9 other lines going off of that one idea or one image, and thinking about how I can use it and how it can, increase, my brand awareness, things like that. So for me, the first system, I think the editing is the first one I want to hand off. And again, I got to create that system. So what are systems? I can tell you what they're not, right? It's not a bureaucracy. It's not red tape. It's not, the killing the creativity, which is something that I had to kind of get over, or I do have to get over. I'm a very much a problem solver, in the moment, shoot from the hip kind of guy. I love being in situations that I don't know what's going to come next. I love it when things come up because I love overcoming obstacles. And systems for me are too predictable, right? Once they become predictable, do they become boring? And will I then lose the passion for it, right? And truly the answer is no. That's not what's going to happen, right? Systems are repeatable decisions. Documented best practices is something I have to get better at, right? Documenting my work, documenting what I do, taking those behind the scenes. That's another area that I, need assistance with, that I know that I need somebody there to shoot my behind the scenes, right? Because everybody loves, pulling back the curtain and seeing the wizard, right? Seeing how it really works, okay? For me, the first system I'm putting in place is a checklist. It's a checklist of things I need for each kinds of sessions, right? I have my natural light sessions where I essentially just need my camera, maybe a top mount flash, charged batteries, things like that, memory cards. Then you have my studio session, right? The studio session's got a whole nother checklist because that's a whole lot of equipment versus a media day, right? Sports media day, on-site checklist, on-site session versus an off-site session. All those things, I need to create a checklist. That's my first step. So before this, next episode drops, I'm going to have a checklist for, all the types of different sessions that I do, whether they're natural light, on location, which all my natural light ones are on location. I don't really shoot at my house for that. In studio, studio on location, media day stuff. A script, I'm not really a script guy, right? I've never liked the idea of a script, of something that I just read from. I feel like it's just too disingenuous. I've been a long time Bruce Springsteen fan, right? And the thing that turned me off is once I went to a couple of concerts, I realized he was saying the same things over and over again, right? It was an act. It's an act. Some of it's organic, but most of it, I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's legit putting on a show, and he's reading a script. He's an actor. He's, this and that. And it didn't sit well with me. I love the idea of it being off the cuff and being, genuine. And so a script for me, as a photographer, what to say to a client over the phone, or what to say to a lead, what do I say the second time? I have to write down notes, things to remember to say, because I want to plant seeds, right? I want to educate. I want to make sure that my clients, know what's coming next. They know what to expect. Those are the things I would write down. And that would be what I would consider a script. I wouldn't, have it somewhere I pick it up and I just read straight from the paper. Something else as far as systems go that I need to implement is, SOPs, standard operating procedures, that I have to follow every time. And that's, comes back to what equipment do I need? Where, how do I load the trailer? When do I need the trailer versus when do we take the van? How do I set up a, payment link, if I'm doing online registrations? So all those things are, systems that I need to put in place. And it's really just taking care of the little things, which I'm a big picture guy, and the little things I feel should come naturally, but I know that they don't. They come naturally, but they also fall through the cracks. And when little things fall through the cracks, they become big things. Systems that I need to be putting in place right from the get-go. A checklist, a script, and I'm using air quotes there, and standard operating procedures. I just know how it's supposed to be done, right? That's how I know that it's an owner system, right? It's a job. I know how it's supposed to be done, but can I teach somebody else how to do it? If nobody can replicate your results, if you could be the smartest person, in the world, you can have the best ideas, but if somebody can't replicate what you create or what you do, where's the value? If those ideas and those skills die with you, there's no value there. You're leaving no legacy. All right. So every business needs systems. I need systems for getting clients, right? I need to set up automations. I need to set up, things that work without me. Okay. I'm cutting it short because I'm actually ready to write some of this stuff down, because as I'm talking, it's firing up that passion, and I know if I let things go for too long, then I don't remember to do them. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to end this episode. I'm going to go and make my checklists, and for episode 3, I'm going to confirm that I have some of these things in place, and then I'm going to let you know what I haven't put in place yet. All right. Hey, I want to thank you guys for being here. If you like what you hear, always subscribe. But I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to Shoot for Succession. If today's episode resonated with you, it's probably because you're thinking beyond the work. You're thinking about systems, ownership, and what it means to build something that lasts. If you found value here, well, make sure to follow the show, leave a review, or share it with another creative business owner who's ready to think like an owner, not just an operator. Because great businesses aren't built on talent alone. They're built to endure. If you like what you heard, check out my website, robfaberphotography.com. Check me out on Instagram at robfaberphotography, also FBR Media, and officially Faber. I'll see you on the next episode.